welcome. My name is Lita Mendiola. I teach 8th grade science.
Terry Giles, 8th grade history.
Ms. Velazquez, Spanish 1, 2, Spanish PreAP, and Ms. Children by Ms. Wattow. She also teaches Spanish 1 and 2.
Now, I'm Mr. Carrizales. I teach 6th grade.
So let's go ahead and talk about PreAP in middle school. PreAP students, we really expect them to be organized. We expect them to be self-driven, and the biggest part is work ethic. It is very important for them to have that work ethic to keep up with all their stuff because it gets so overwhelming at times. You know, it's helpful if they can stay on top of everything and make sure that they're doing their work and attending tutoring and all that stuff. And most importantly, though, it's not just about grades with PreAP, it's about growth mindset. We really want them to understand about learning in itself. It's not just about, trying to get 99 or 100, but understanding that there's a process they have to go through, and sometimes it's a big challenge, and it might be difficult. But at the end, our purpose is that they learn something. So some of the things that we can help do at home to help them would be getting on Parent Portal and checking their grades, signing up for reminds, and as far as the Google Classroom is concerned, we can actually invite parents over to Google Classroom, and you can go in and check their grades. Not grades, but their assignments and whether they turned in their, assignments or not.
I think what happens is tell the teacher, the student teacher, and what happens is what you get a weekly summary. So you can actually physically get onto Google Classroom. But the other thing is if your child will just log in and you can see from them. But it's a student account, so only they can log in, or they can give you the student account.
And there are announcements on the side.
Yeah.
Other than that, you can just email the teachers. So they
Yes.
add us to
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. Again, things that we can also do to help them at home is not just, helping them study and saying, okay, what is this or what is that, but kind of going a little bit more into rigor and asking them to explain things, asking them how things work or why things work the way they do. Going a little bit deeper into what they're studying and instead of just staying on the surface. And those are the inferencing skills that they're going to need in order to do well in PreAP classes.
And ultimately, that's what we're looking at from a PreAP standpoint is looking at just kind of what the name entails, really, is preparing for AP classes. And kind of what I've told my students all year in this year since the beginning, that really you should be in PreAP for two reasons. You want to be challenged, and you want to take the AP exam. Because if you're not willing to do those two things, then ultimately what's the point of you being in PreAP? I think right now a lot of students kind of see it as more or less a feather in their cap or something to where they just want the title as opposed to the actual growth mindset like Ms. Mendiola was talking about. And so that's what I've really been driving home with my students from a history standpoint is, guys, listen, if you're not interested in taking the U.S. History AP exam, that this is going to be a very challenging course for you. Or if you're not willing to step up to the plate to more challenging information, it's going to be a very challenging course for you. And so that's something to kind of keep in mind because it is a student choice. We have open enrollment to where anybody that wants to take PreAP can. With the exception of math, there are a few requirements to that, but if they're interested in taking PreAP, whatever, they can do it. But from a student standpoint, there needs to be that understanding and commitment to the class that I know it's going to be much harder because of where we're going with it. And something that I have, and I know Ms. Mendiola has as well, we've actually gone over the AP exams with our students. And something that I would suggest to both students and parents, go in and look at what these AP exams are like. Because if you go on and just simply Google, like for my class, which is U.S. History, the AP exam for U.S. History, it is very, if you want to call it labor intensive. It's got multiple parts to each section that the students are going to have to be able to do, and it's timed. And the big thing about, from a history standpoint, is they don't want you to know the right answer. They want you to know why the answer is correct. And that's one of the areas that a lot of students have the hardest times with, is being able to not just know, but to understand information and be able to explain that. And so from our standpoint, the way we structure our pre-AP classes has a lot to do with the AP exam itself. The AP exam is in high school, yes, but we have a big push with the district that it's K through 12. Even though you're taking it in 11th grade, that this AP mindset needs to be something that's in place from the very beginning. Because, again, just knowing the answer is not going to be enough with that. And so that's ultimately what we're looking at, especially thinking forward to high school. That in Ms. Velasquez, Ms. Sturzenbeck will talk a little bit more about this here in just a second, but that it's something that it's really a mind shift, a growth mindset, as we keep saying, that the students just need to be aware of, and parents as well. So we do encourage people, go on, check out what the questions are like. And that way it kind of shows you the kind of the depth that you need to be at by the time that you get to this. I mean, really from a high school standpoint, you can start taking AP classes as a freshman, at least from a history standpoint. So as a freshman, you need to be at this level. And so to kind of expound on that, I want to pass it over to Mr. Clarizales, and he'll go a little bit more into some of the other aspects of high school level courses as well.
So here at Folks Middle School, we offer some high school credit courses. The ones that, as you can see, are art, Spanish 1, 2, pre-AP as well, and then algebra and geometry. As me being a math teacher and a pre-AP math teacher as well, is our goal is that by 6th grade they'll be in pre-AP, 7th grade pre-AP, and in 8th grade they're taking algebra high school credit course for the math part of it. With any high school credit course, there's some things that we need to keep in mind, and one is that these grades, whatever grades they're achieving in class, will be in their high school GPA. So as an 8th grade student, I'm already earning my class ranking based on my GPA from my high school classes as an 8th grade student. So again, and as the class rankings, they have the top 10% and so forth. So colleges and universities definitely look at that to see, yes, we're going to admit them, or yes, we're going to provide a scholarship for them, and so forth. So that's very important to understand. I could have a grade average, but if I don't meet my attendance requirements, I do not receive credit at all. I have to be here 90% of the time. If I do not have, per semester. So if I'm going in semester 1 and I don't have my 90%, then I'm going to start doing attendance recovery. Attendance recovery means that they'll come in before or after school with the instructor based on the lost my train of thought. Yeah, according to the course and who the instructor is, they'll determine a time when they can come in and do the attendance recovery. May even be Saturday school. I know that's happened before in the past. But that's 90% per semester. Some great benefits is, one, besides you're earning already high school credit, it also opens up your schedule as a high school student to take dual credit courses. And that way they'll be earning not only high school credit, but they'll be earning college credit as well. Some dual credit courses, I know some of them have to, college algebra is a dual credit. Some, not all college algebra, some college algebras are dual credit. Calculus, like calculus classes. I don't know about Spanish 3, Spanish 4, and there's some U.S. history. So there's many options out there. And when your child gets to, what grade is your child in?
I have one in high school, I have one here,
You're running, yeah. And so and put it to you. Definitely. And then, and as they're in high school, for example, the one in high school, I really be speaking to the counselors and say, hey, which ones allow me to get college credit in high school? Because, I mean, that's also saving you money and working towards that. some things to keep in mind. If a student fails a high school credit course, they must repeat that course the very next year. But with that, if they fail the course, let's say they get a 60 this time and then they retake it and get a 90, if they failed it, both of those grades will be on the transcript. So the 60 will show up. Hey, they made a 60 and then they did better with the 90, so both grades will show up and both grades will be calculated into their GPA. Now, if you pass a course, any high school level course, but if you retake it the very next year and improve your grade, then they will only keep the latter grade. And so it will replace the lower grade. So that's something to keep in mind as well as you're taking these classes, that if they fail it, then both grades will be on there. If not, then if they pass it, they can retake it and try to improve their grade. I'm going to pass it over to Spanish.
So Spanish 1, 2, and 2 PreAP, even though they're elective, they're really like an ELAR class. They learn how to write, speak, read, and do the vocabulary. There's a semester exam, and it takes 4 days of testing. Normally it's in December, January, the first one, and the second one is in May. We also can take the speaking and the writing. Part of the exam has a major grade for the 3rd and 6th grade. It's 20% of the semester exam, the average. And normally we let the students know when we're going to be giving this test, so there will be no conflict with scheduling dentist appointments or any personal time off. So they will be here taking those visits.
Do not miss the dates.
So you just parents
We post it on Remind and Google Classroom on our
We
website.
remind, we put it on our teacher website. We also get a study guide with the dates on it.
Okay.
And as far as the resources for parents and students as well, there is an online textbook. The students have the login access code already. The book is Así Se Dice. The app is Así Lo Digo. It corresponds with the textbook, with the information that's on there. They've been given that information since the beginning of the school year. Yeah.
And using all these are very important because they get to use this at
home.
We use this in the classroom, and this is to reinforce what they're learning in class.
All those websites listed there, the Quizlet, SpanishDictionary.com, the Senor Jordan videos, all that is just to build up more information for them, to be practicing. And then we also have the Remind, that the students already have the login codes as well. We gave them out at the beginning of the school year too. So if the students don't have it, then parents can access it on our websites, okay, on the teacher websites. And we do have them posted outside our classroom. They've been there since day one, for them to take pictures of it and take it home, give it to parents and stuff. Google Classroom, we use it just to kind of be updating the grades, not the grades, the assignments. That way they're absent, they already know what they have to do. Okay, teacher websites, they're available with all the information too. And the grades, it's the HAC, the Home Access Center.
And things I would recommend for the students would be have a good reading and writing foundation, because that will really transfer to the second language, learning a second language. Also, it requires a lot of practice. I learned a second language. It was not just at school, but I would go home and practice and do everything that I needed to continue learning the language. It's also a rigorous class, and it's challenging. It's a very challenging class. The grades reflect the mastery, and Spanish class is a choice. So it would be helpful for the students to be wanting to learn a second language, so they can get pumped up and do the test. And if you have any questions?
No, it's okay. I'm not thinking that you guys give all information that you know.
Thank you for joining us.